Welcome to the South Defense.
Things have certainly escalated recently between India and Pakistan. Lots happening geopolitically.
They really have. And right in the middle of it all, this quite remarkable event, India finding that Chinese PL-15 missile.
Yeah, in Punjab.
Yeah.
Recovered on May 9th, wasn't it? Following all the tension from the April 22nd attack in Pahalgam and then India's Operation Sindoor.
Exactly. And this isn't just, another piece of military debris. The fact that it's a relatively advanced Chinese air-to-air missile, well, that's got intelligence services worldwide paying very close attention.
It's a rare glimpse, isn't it?
Absolutely. A very rare opportunity to see this kind of tech up close.
Right. So that's what we want to dive into today. Why are countries like the Five Eyes nations, France, Japan, why are they so keen, really, to get insights from this specific missile? What does it tell us?
It tells us potentially quite a lot about China's military capabilities and, the wider strategic game being played out.
Okay, let's start with the missile itself.
Yeah.
The PL-15, what's its story?
Okay, so it's developed by AVC, that's the Aviation Industry Corporation of China. And it's not just any missile. It's an advanced, long-range air-to-air weapon designed for BVR, beyond visual range, combat.
Beyond visual range.
Mm-hmm.
So engaging targets you can't physically see, that's a huge advantage in air combat.
Oh, absolutely. It changes the game. And the PL-15 achieves this with some pretty sophisticated tech. Key thing is the ASA radar-active electronically scanned array. That's its guidance system.
Its own radar on board.
Exactly. It finds and tracks targets independently. Plus, it has a dual-pulse rocket motor. Think of it like having a second gear, giving it extra range and energy to chase down targets, even agile ones.
Dual pulse. So an initial boost and another kick later on.
Yeah.
Keeps it speed up over distance.
That's the idea. It helps maintain energy right through the engagement envelope.
And the range we're talking about, is it different for the ones China uses versus the export models?
It seems so. The version China uses internally is reportedly capable of reaching 200, maybe even 300 kilometers. That's quite something.
Huge distance.
Yeah. The export model, the PL-15E, which is likely what Pakistan would have, has a shorter range. Still significant, though, maybe around 145 kilometers.
Still well beyond visual range.
Yeah.
Fast.
Very fast. Reports suggest Mach 4, maybe Mach 5. That's incredibly quick. So you combine that range, speed, and the ASA guidance. It's a serious threat.
Not just to other fighters.
No, definitely not. It's a threat to larger, less maneuverable aircraft, too. Things like AOSCS, airborne early warning planes, which are critical assets.
Right, the eyes in the sky. So given all that capability, how does one end up mostly intact in a field in Punjab? It clearly didn't hit its target.
Good question. India claims their air defenses neutralized it. Or perhaps it malfunctioned. We don't know for sure. But the key bit for intelligence is that word. Largely intact.
Which leads us right back to the big question. Why all the fuss? Why are the Five Eyes US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, plus France and Japan so interested?
Okay, several big reasons here. First and foremost, technological intelligence. It's a direct look at where China is with its air combat technology.
Kind of like getting a sneak peek at the competition's latest gear.
Exactly. The PL-15 is a key part of their modern air power. How does it stack up against, say, the American AMRAAM, the AIM-120D, or the European Meteor missile?
Both the Rafale uses, right?
Which the Rafale uses, yes. So studying this recovered missile, even if it's damaged, could reveal secrets about its guidance, its propulsion, how resistant it is to jamming.
Electronic countermeasures.
Crucial stuff, especially for the U.S. and the other Five Eyes partners focusing on the Indo-Pacific. Understanding China's capabilities there is priority number one.
Makes sense. Know your adversary. What's the second driver?
Developing countermeasures. If you understand how it works, you can figure out how to defeat it.
Right. Find the weaknesses.
Precisely. Analyze the seeker head, for example. Maybe you can develop better jamming techniques or new kinds of decoys to fool it.
And you mentioned France. This is probably quite personal for them, given their Rafales were reportedly targeted by these.
You'd have to assume so. They'll want to ensure their aircraft and the pilots flying them are protected against this specific threat. It directly impacts the viability of their own high-tech exports, like the Rafales sold to India.
In Japan, where they fit in?
Japan's in a similar boat strategically. They operate F-35s, they face China's military modernization directly, plus they're developing their own missile technology. Understanding the PL-15 helps them refine their own defenses and potentially their offensive capabilities too.
Okay, tech insights, countermeasures. There's a geopolitical angle too, right? This isn't just about hardware.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that this missile was apparently used in combat by Pakistan using Chinese jets like the J-10C or JF-17, that confirms China's role as a major arms supplier in the region,
And specifically to Pakistan, India's main rival.
which naturally worries the Five Eyes, Japan, even France, who supplies India. It speaks to China's growing influence in South Asia and the wider Indo-Pacific security picture. Everyone's watching those dynamics very closely.
It feels like this single missile recovery touches on so many big strategic trends. Has this kind of thing happened before? Recovering enemy tech leading to breakthroughs.
Yes, history's full of examples. Maybe the most talked about recent one is that U.S. Black Hawk helicopter that went down in Pakistan during the bin Laden raid in 2011.
Right. Reports that China got access to the wreckage.
Exactly. It shows the potential intelligence value. So, if India does decide to share data from this PL-15, well, it could really strengthen its intelligence ties with countries like the U.S., France, and Japan.
A potential bargaining chip, perhaps. But it sounds like there are hurdles, too. It's not straightforward.
Definitely not. First, we just don't know the real condition of the missile. How intact is largely intact? Are the critical parts, like that ASS seeker, actually recoverable and analyzable? India's claim of neutralizing it might imply significant damage.
So the potential intelligence haul might be limited?
It might be. Second, India has a really complex diplomatic balancing act to perform. Sharing sensitive Chinese tech with Western nations could impact its relationship with Russia, a long-term defense partner.
Right. They buy a lot of Russian equipment.
They do. So deciding who to share with and how much involves some very tricky calculations about alliances and strategic partnerships.
It really is a complex web. Now, looking online, people following this are throwing around lots of ideas about what India should do next. What kind of perspectives are out there?
Oh, a real mix. You see some arguing India should keep it all in-house, focus on reverse engineering, learning everything they can to boost their own systems, like their indigenous Akash missile program.
Makes sense. Use it for their own advantage first.
Then you have the barter argument. Use access to the missile or the data from it as leverage. Trade it for other technology they want.
Like what? What kind of tech are people suggesting?
Things like maybe getting deeper access to the Rafale's source code from France, or pushing harder for GE 414 engine tech from the U.S. for their own fighter program, maybe advanced radar or electronic warfare tech from the Five Eyes, or even tapping into Japan's missile expertise, like their MASS technology.
So turn this intelligence opportunity into a direct capability boost for India.
That's the idea behind those suggestions. But then you also hear caution. Some say, hold on, who can we really trust? Arguments about not sharing with countries perceived as unreliable or who haven't shared valuable intel with India in the past.
Concerns about reciprocity.
Yes, and worries about the diplomatic fallout, like we mentioned, upsetting Russia by sharing with NATO countries. Or even the ethics. What about African nations buying JF-17s equipped with PL-15s? Does sharing intel compromise their security?
Lots of different angles. Is there any consensus emerging?
If there's one common thread, it's maybe the idea that India should do its own deep analysis first, figure out exactly what they have before making any decisions about sharing.
Get their own house in order before inviting guests, so to speak.
Something like that. And interestingly, there was even a forum comment mentioning a rumor that India's Su-30 MKIs might have successfully jammed the PL-15 during the engagement, if that's true.
Well, that adds a whole other layer to India's understanding of its capabilities and limitations.
Fascinating. Just shows how many layers there are to this.
Yeah.
So let's try and summarize as we wrap up this deep dive. What are the main takeaways from this whole PL-15 recovery incident?
I think the key thing is that this recovered missile, whatever its exact condition, represents a really valuable window into China's advanced military tech. It sparked major international interest because of what it could reveal technologically and what it says geopolitically.
And it leaves us, and probably many governments, with some big questions hanging in the air. What secrets does it actually hold? How will this knowledge influence countermeasures? How does it shift defense partnerships? The power balance?
And crucially, what will India decide to do with this potentially very sensitive information? That's the big unknown, definitely. Maybe a final thought for you, the listener. When you think about all the complexities, the tech, the diplomacy, the alliances, how might the analysis of just this one piece of hardware send ripples outwards? affecting not just military strategy, but maybe diplomatic ties and the whole future balance of power, especially in the Indo-Pacific, but maybe even globally. Something to chew on.
It really is. A single incident, but with potentially far-reaching consequences. Definitely one to keep watching.
Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the biggest shifts in aerospace, geopolitics, and defense innovation.